and then let's hear about your 2022 year-end fitness audit and where we go from
Yeah.
here.
So I think starting with the fitness and nutrition,
Mhm.
the fitness for me was the biggest thing, right? Like just I had never consistently lifted for any, I was always athletic and active, but never did I do weights. Every once in a while, you join the gym and you go for a couple months, but I have not consistently done that. So for me, that was huge.
Yeah,
And I
so
think
proud of you because you were consistent, except for
I
when you got
was,
sick and like crazy muscles and
and with
joints
right
and
with
stuff.
the
But
hip and the back
yeah,
and the all of it, but I kept going. I'm really proud of myself for that as well.
yeah.
And that was definitely new for me.
And I
Um,
want to recognize for you too that you became that person that didn't like when you couldn't do things, you know?
yeah,
That's a
definitely.
huge thing when you become that person, you're like, I can't work out. This is awful. Like, when
Right,
can I get back to my workouts? Because then you're not going to ever be that person who falls off and then just kind of lets it go. And that's where you
right.
stop that momentum.
So those times, whether sick or injury, that I didn't stop. Right, I stopped for the period, but then I kept going back. So yeah, that was big. I think the only thing I have to figure out in that whole thing, because I mean, weights are going to be part of my world. I and again, my schedule is what it is because I'm a teacher. So I prefer those morning workouts, but I have not gotten myself yet to get up before work and do morning workouts.
Okay, so it's
So
when
I
you
think
don't have work that you love it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
do.
Well,
I love that, like 8 o'clock in the morning,
yeah.
getting up and doing my thing. So then I'm done for the day. I feel good. I'm burning calories all day long. Like it just feels good.
Well, someday
Um,
you're going to have the best retirement because you're going to be like so
exactly.
pumped that you have time and energy
Exactly.
to get up early.
But I
Otherwise,
mean,
what time do you go to bed?
I go to bed by 10 o'clock. Like I'm not a late
Yeah.
night person. So that's my goal for 2023. It's not, it's for me, it's a mindset. I am used to getting up in the morning, probably like 5:30, 6 o'clock,
Mhm.
have my cup of tea, sit down and do some of my work. Like I'm just really slow in the morning. So I haven't gotten to the mindset yet that I have enough time in the morning to do it. I just, in my head, my mornings are slow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think I'd be happier if I got the mindset to switch that.
Yeah.
I
You're
really do.
totally able to do that because that's an easy switch. It's like taking that routine and putting it in the evening and having that like evening tea, doing everything so it's done. And then you might actually get better sleep if you know you don't have work to do in the morning. And
Right,
then
exactly.
what I love is that the only thing I have to do when I wake up is drink my pre-workout, which gets me pumped, and get
Mhm.
to that workout by a particular minute. Like I
Right.
start right at 7 so that I am ready to put the kids well, get the kids out the door. It used to be on the bus.
Right.
Now it's get
Yeah.
them out the door or drive them to school. But I do love that all I have to do is physical. So if my
Mhm.
brain's not in it, if it's not turned on yet, you just get started. And I think no matter what, by the time you get through a warm up, you're in
Mhm.
it. It's not like you drag because
Right.
you started early. I think you definitely would be able to get used to that routine. It's really a matter of creating the habit and the routine, and then your body will
Right.
crave it. Because now
Right.
when I wake up, it feels strange to not just get ready and suit it up and work out. So I
Mhm.
think that is something that you could change because I used to say the same. I wasn't a morning person. And so I
Yeah.
used to work out during my lunch hour and then after work. And now I
Mhm.
can't even imagine trying to work out at the end of the day or come 4 o'clock because there's just too much going on,
Too many things get in the way.
too much opportunity for,
Yes,
for that. So I think you
definitely.
could absolutely swap those routines and really come to love it if you feel
Yeah.
that it's setting your body up. I do think that it takes the pressure off and it gets your blood pumping. It gets your brain, the blood's going everywhere. It gets your
Mhm.
lungs open. It gets you feeling good. And also, it's great motivation for healthy eating all day when you
Right.
know you've started your day that healthy.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I think the weights were the best thing I did, but I still think I can make it even better if I just switch that schedule around. So that's
Hmm.
my goal this year for that part of it.
Awesome.
Um, my nutrition, I think I didn't have a ton of tweaking to do there, right? Like I tend not to be an overeater, so that's not my issue. Sweets for sure. I definitely I'll sit there, pop my peanut M&Ms and do that. But I mean, that wasn't really hard for me. Changed having that. I just do the protein shake in the morning. That's definitely something I added. And I've just always used the mindful, right? So just getting that picture of the things in your head.
Mindful basics.
Yeah. You had recommended doing a second one. I don't know which one I would throw into my right? Because I don't want to think about it too much, right?
I
I'm
think, yeah, in
very
that case,
simple.
I think the next one is the portion control, um, with the different containers, because what it does is it really hones in, and you might take where you're at and
Hmm.
take it to that next level and
Okay.
see, even better fueling. For you, it's not weight loss because we really don't
Yeah.
want to be losing weight. But if it
Nope.
is that you need more food or more quality food or more protein, it's a really great way to make sure you're hitting all the
All of
buckets properly.
them.
And
Okay.
we can even work with those portions on breaking them down based on when you're working out and what your day is like, and learning how to really properly use food to fuel. And
Okay.
what you're going to find too is that there's times where you need to increase your calories in order to build that extra muscle that we want to build
Okay.
and replace. And so I actually saw an ad for a woman on Facebook the other day who, it was a calorie calculator, figuring out how many calories you need. And she said she was 125 pounds and
Mhm.
that she's eating 2,000 calories a day. Right. And you
Okay.
might be like, holy cow, that sounds like a lot of calories. You may
Hmm.
not know, because if you really don't know what your calorie intake is,
And I
it's hard
don't.
to know if you're eating enough to build that muscle. And you should have seen her, this picture of her. She was ripped and tiny,
Uh,
so she's a tiny, ripped girl. And you're like, okay, like she's eating a lot more than you would think you would need, because
and
we're
that's
always thinking weight loss, but
right. And that's
really,
probably where I am because I'm very small frame, right? Like I could be 110 pounds and still be a healthy. I don't think I want to go down that low, but that's still healthy for
yeah,
me because my
yeah,
frame is so small. So people often look at me and say, like, what do you mean lose weight? I'm like,
it's not
it's
really
not,
weight, it's
it's
fat.
not really weight. Exactly. It's
Yeah,
it's just reproportioning all of that.
yeah.
So I would okay. So let's think about that and what I need to do to
Yeah.
like
We'll
what
teach it to you.
containers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe next week we'll teach it to you. We'll teach you the system.
Okay.
And then if anything, when I started it, I did need to lose weight. I was 150 and I thought I wanted to lose like 10 pounds. I was also a
Mhm.
size 12 at 150.
Okay.
And I started the containers, and it really showed me that my proportions, even though I had always been a healthy eater, my
Uh-huh.
proportions were so off. Like I was eating a lot of fat that I didn't even realize, because it was all healthy fat. I was eating a ton of carbs, which I thought were all the right ones, but it was a
Right.
ton of carbs. And I was
Okay.
actually I was more so protein deficient and heavy in the carbs and the fats. And so when I kind of made that switch,
Hmm.
um, and I got everything in the right proportions, the first week I lost 6 pounds. And I only weighed myself on Wednesdays. That was what my coach told me. She said, only weigh
Okay.
yourself on Wednesdays. So I weighed myself to start 150, weighed
Okay.
myself on the next Wednesday, 144. And then I lost another 4 pounds by the second week. So I had made it to
Just
my goal. I was like, wait a second, that was it? Like in 2 weeks, I got 10
yeah.
pounds off. And then I said, I guess maybe I should make it five less. So then I ended up losing 15 pounds
Oh my
in
goodness.
6 weeks. It was 6 weeks. And what happened was, at the end, it was kind of like you're saying. I was 135. I was a size 6, so I cut my sizes in half, but I didn't feel like I had arrived. I was like, wait, this isn't really
I'm
what
not.
I was
Yeah.
picturing, because I felt skinny fat. And I was like, I'm not really more toned here. And
Mhm.
so then I added in the exercise, and I started weightlifting, and I started like understanding the mechanics of proper weightlifting. And like I teach you, programs for building strength, for building
Right.
muscle. And I went up from like about 1,200 calories to lose all that weight to
Mhm.
1,800 to 2,200. And I gained massive muscle, got a
Right.
six pack, and went down from a size 6 to a size 4 and gained 10 pounds. So I was
Yeah.
back to 145. I was down to a size 4. I had a
Mhm.
six pack and a ton of muscle to show for it. And that was when I realized that it wasn't eat less, it was work out more, eat more,
Right.
enjoy the food, and really look to build in a way that's phased, that makes sense, that's methodical, and not just like
Mhm.
going in the gym and like picking up these weights and picking up those weights and getting on that
Right.
machine and like having no idea really.
Mhm.
But it was information. So now I know, if I just want to slim down, then I got to pull back on the exercise and I got to pull back on the food. And when I want to see muscle and tone, then I ramp up the exercise and I add more food. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to get fatter or heavier. It
Right. It's
sometimes,
just
when we add a little bit of muscle, we do add a little bit of fat, but that's again part of the phasing. Because then when
okay.
you reach your muscle, then you pull back a little bit on the food and you can find your maintenance. And
Okay.
And that's why I think, although you've found this really great system that works, having more tools in this box is empowerment. And it helps you get to the next level, because we say to get from A to B is not going to be the same thing that gets you from B to C.
Right.
So in order to see some brand new results, even though we saw great results in the last 3 months, to see
Yeah.
in the next, it's going to be some new tools that we introduce. And eventually you're just full of all these different tools. You know when you need which ones, and
Right.
it's just very exciting, and it keeps that journey exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, when you were talking about nutrition, and in my head, I'm like, no, I'm good there. But you were like, nope, you should have more than one lens, basically. And I'm like, okay, so then I'm not there because I have one thing. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
It's
would be great.
exciting, right? Having
Yeah,
room for growth is really exciting.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, and that's my one thing I said that I needed to track. I don't track what I eat. I really don't.
Mhm.
Even like in the beginning when we were writing everything down, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Well,
not.
part of it with that too is that some people don't want to have to track forever, and you shouldn't have
I
to
don't.
track forever. But
Right.
if you've figured it out, what's working, then that's when
Hmm.
you've kind of arrived, and you shouldn't have to track all the time. When you're
Okay.
learning and in that phase of learning what your body does, and if you still really want to see new change, then I do think it's imperative, because otherwise, how are you going to know what worked for you?
Right.
You
Okay.
know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. First page done.
Done.
Next, it was time management and routine. And I think that it's so funny to me. So you were talking about journaling and all that stuff and doing time blocks. I'm like, this is what I do every day because I'm a teacher. But I'm not doing it outside of school.
Wow, that's a light bulb
Isn't,
moment.
isn't light bulb. Totally. I'm sitting there going, but this is what I do. Like that's how I teach. Like you have to, but I don't. My personal stuff, my health and fitness, I don't block out. Yeah, I just don't. So that's a big one for me. I'm like, I've gotta work on, and I think part of that, what we just talked about, doing the morning instead of the evening, will
Yeah.
is a start there.
Mhm.
Um,
So I think what we need, and I'd love to send you a gift for the new year, is a journal.
okay.
If you saw like the journals that I
Yep.
use, love them, because it's all in the same place. It's going to have your time blocking, your month, your week, your days, and it
Hmm.
also has that area for food journaling and exercise and sleep and all those things too, if you want to add that in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hmm.
So, yeah, because that was the when we were going through, and I'm like, nope, no, I don't write it down. I'm even bad at, like I plan in my head what I'm going to eat for the week because I go grocery shopping and I have to have the food, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not writing it all down. I'm not.
Hmm.
And then you get into that, if something changes, like for, people aren't home or they are home and I have to change what I'm going to cook, like I don't know. I'm not nearly as routine and managed in my
Hmm.
personal life as I am in my professional life.
That's neat. That's neat to know.
Which is so funny because I already have the tools, right?
Yeah.
Like my brain works that way. I
Right.
just haven't,
Well,
I
that's
haven't
why you need
really
a coach to kick you in the
did
butt.
it. Exactly.
Say, hey, let's,
Exactly.
because I had the questions, but you just needed the prompting.
Yes. Well, and that was the next part of the accountability. Who's keeping me accountable? I'm like, like you're keeping me accountable. That's why Wednesday calls my check-ins, right?
Yeah.
That make sure I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah. And I think too, some of our calls have been shorter, but just having them on the calendar, you're like, oh, I got to make sure that I'm on point,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's important.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Good.
Um, yeah. And then my husband obviously is always checking in. He's like, how'd the workout go? In a good way, in a very positive, good, like he's excited for me,
That's
which is kind
great
of fun. Yeah,
to know.
that is very fun. Um, what else did I have in my notes? I mean, as far as the goals, I think I achieved that short-term goal. Like right when I talked to you, I said I could lose a few pounds, but I'm more interested in gaining that muscle tone, and getting more fit. And I've definitely done that. I'm not done, right? Like I'm just now it's the
Yeah.
next
And you'll never
phase.
be done. You won't. You'll
Right.
never be done. You'll
Exactly.
it's a forever journey. And I think what's most important, I say this a lot, is that we're not just doing this to get to the end, because I don't think we're ever going to feel like we're at the end, but you have to enjoy every part of it and every day of it, and
Right.
see how it impacts not only this little part of your life, but all the other things too. And
Right.
like having more energy for your kids when they come home, and to
Mhm.
do all the cooking and paying attention to you, because that's a practice, right?
Right.
Is
Right.
saying, hey, even though everybody's home, I'm still
I
getting my
still have
workout
to.
in, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's huge.
And I
So
think
what do
that
you think?
whole motivation, like that you said, there was two sides of that. One is, are you motivated by the pain of staying in the same place? I don't think that's me. I think it's the motivation of seeing where, like,
Excitement.
taking those pictures and all of a sudden going, oh wow, like that's, I've made a difference. And again, for me, it's so much about um, just being strong and fit at this stage of my life, so that those 60, 70, 80, like I'll just be in a better place
Yeah,
then because
yeah,
of what I'm doing now.
because you're gonna have new things then that you're gonna
Oh,
have
of
to keep up
course.
with.
Exactly. I'll have grandkids. Oh, God help me. God help me.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was really good going through those 3 days of just checking,
That's good.
just to make you think.
Yeah, I think too, when you just said that, like, there's a lot of grandmas that don't realize until they're there that they don't have the energy that they wanted. And they kind
Right.
of say, like, if only I had started this sooner, then I wouldn't feel the way I do now and feel like I have so much catch up to do. And I think
Right.
it's not just being a grandma, but it's also like the osteoporosis and with
Exactly.
everything that comes along,
With age
that
and
takes us by surprise. And we're like, ugh, how come I didn't think about this? And how come I
Mhm.
wasn't working on it? And so you're working on all the things. And I mean, I don't think anything that we do makes life worse in any way.
Right. Right. No, not at all. Not
Well,
at all.
that's
Um,
good. I'm
yeah, yeah,
glad you
yeah,
enjoyed the exercise, and
yeah.
I'm glad that we have our plans in place to move forward and start strong into the new year, but
Yeah,
also not from a place of I feel awful right now. I need to
absolutely
start
not.
something.
Yeah,
It's a good feeling, right?
definitely, definitely.
Good.
Yeah, I'm in a good place. I'm just looking forward to just moving, just keep moving in the same direction.
Yeah, that's a great plan.
Yeah.